Jeep Grand Cherokee, Purdue and Marquette with a former Flying Illini member, Stephen Bardo. I'm Lisa Byington. Two talented teams, and we think even before tip, this might be the most competitive game of the Gavitt games. We'll have to wait to see that. What we do know is Marcus Howard is must-see TV.
There's no doubt about it. The best offensive player in all of college basketball, against a Purdue team that's pretty defensive-oriented, so we'll see if offense can beat defense or vice versa tonight. Marcus
Howard just recently becoming the all-time leading scorer for Marquette as we look at the starting lineup sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. And offense is something, but defense, two of the better shot blockers in this game, Matt Harms and Theo John. But, Stephen, you had mentioned someone's got to stop Marcus Howard. Purdue thinks they have a defensive stopper in No-Gel Easton.
No-Gel Easton at 6'6", 225, one of the best on-ball defenders in all of college basketball. Going to try to limit the free airspace that Marcus Howard gets this evening.
Wednesday night treat from downtown Milwaukee. The fans have been waiting all day for this one. And the Gavitt games roll on from Milwaukee. Tip goes to Purdue in the road blacks and Marquette in their home blues.
Well, you see it, beautiful floor spacing that Purdue has been accustomed to using.
Jahad Proctor knocks down the first bucket. He's been a great addition, a grad transfer. Put up 26 in his debut with Purdue against Green Bay just about a week ago.
Yeah, the coaching staffs are in love with his game in terms of taking what the defense gives him, doesn't force the issue, and can do a lot of different things besides score the basketball.
Before that three, he had attempted just 5 of them through 2 games. That's not necessarily his strength. He'll be more of a downhill player. And a traveling violation, that is one thing that's been a problem here for Marquette. Purdue's Matt Painter, they could easily be 2-0 coming into this game. They had an opportunity to knock off Texas last Saturday, but some concentration errors and some really costly turnovers at the end of the game cost them the game.
I agree with that, and you're not used to seeing Purdue lose in Mackey Arena very often, so you also have to tip your hat to Texas, because they came in with a tremendous game plan and executed very well down the stretch.
Jahad Proctor's in trouble. He's got to throw it up, gets his own miss, puts it back, and he's got the first 5 points.
That's what I used to do on the Nerf hoop in the bedroom. Throw it up on the rim, go back and get it, and put it in. Nice job by Proctor. Sometimes, Lisa, you have to resort to some childlike things in the game when you're forced into that situation.
I would go up and just dunk it because it's the only time I could dunk was on the Nerf hoop.
I like that. I like that.
Marquette probing looking for its first points here to start. 1.5 minutes into this game. Annam will fire. Sakar Annam, they need him to be a little bit more of a scorer here this year. Had kind of a breakout season last year. Averaged about 8 points per game and 3 rebounds per game. Need those numbers even to go up a little bit this year.
But Purdue's action is fast. They're really cutting hard, screening, and maintaining their spacing.
Here's Matt Harms, gets the soft touch, and it's a 7-0 advantage for Purdue.
And look at the pressure by Eric Hunter Jr. in the backcourt, trying to disrupt Marquette in their offensive flow.
Both of these teams early in the season trying to figure out exactly who they are. That's exactly what Steve Wojciechowski had told us in the shoot-around. This is a game that will be a good measuring stick for us in terms of deciding who we are. Of course, one of the big stories in the offseason, you lose Sam Hauser and Joey Hauser. How can this team mix and mesh with the likes of Marcus Howard this year without those guys?
Yeah, Kobe McEwen, is going to have to really step up as well as Sakar Annam and a few others. Wow.
Yeah, that's the story. Is another turnover here for Marquette. They had about 21 of them in their opener against Loyola Maryland. Really the only thing on the stat sheet that didn't go Marquette's way. The big guys challenging each other. Now it's back-to-back buckets here for Harms, and you knew this was coming. Wojo had to call the timeout. A 9-0 jump start here for Purdue on the road. Wojo's got to chat about it. Turnovers than points or even shots taken here to start for Marquette is something that you didn't even see coming.
I didn't. I know they struggled penalty in the basketball in the previous game, but they knew what they were up against. Purdue and Marquette have played each other over the years, so these programs are very familiar with one another. And I'm just surprised that Marquette seems to be on their heels a little bit to start this game.
Marquette has never beaten Purdue in this series, a 9-0 advantage for Purdue, though most of those games were several decades ago. These two teams actually did meet in Milwaukee in 2017 for the Gavitt Gangs. Hey, it's Howard for the first bucket.
Wow, that's a tough shot. You know what? Matt Painter will live with that, Lisa. If he's got to jackknife and create that much just to score, because you're not going to stop Marcus Howard, but you want to make it difficult on him, and Purdue is doing that to start the game.
It's one thing Marcus Howard can do. Yes, he can be a spot-up shooter, but he can also take it off the bounce as Eastern goes hard baseline, even harder off the glass for the miss. Here's Howard again, this time with Hunter on him, and the step back, that's a two just inside the three-point line.
Marcus Howard, people know him as a shooter, Lisa, but he shoots extremely well off the bounce. And when he gets that left dribble sidestep away from the defense, he doesn't need much space.
One of the questions is how will Purdue try to defend him? We've already seen a couple different defenders, Eastern on him and now Hunter on him. 10 to shoot. Here's Eastern. Crossover, lefty shot is short. He's missed his last two.
Nigel Eastern would have never taken that shot in years past. He's really worked on his jumper. He's got a lot more confidence in it.
Backdoor cut there for Howard as he kicks it out, that time to McEwen. Kobe McEwen, one of the transfers and one of the new faces, played a couple years at Utah State. And an offensive foul call on Eastern, pushing off. That's his first.
Well, Marcus Howard finding it a little bit difficult to score, but that has never stopped him before.
Marcus Howard began the season just needing 31 points to break Marquette's all-time scoring record and surpass Jarrell McNeil. Guess what? He did it about 8 days ago in the opener against Loyola Maryland, and he put up 30 in the first half. It gave him the Big East Player of the Week, the all-time leading scorer, 38 points, the 30 of the 38, as I mentioned in the first half. And this is tonight, where they gave him the game ball and honored him. We've actually added the 4 points there to his total, and now is 3 off of 2,000 for his career.
That's an outstanding career for Marcus Howard, and we know his parents are watching, so congratulations to the Howard family.
Yes.
And I'm sure they are awfully proud of that young man, not only for his on-the-court pursuits, but off the court, he's a tremendous young man.
Well, Marcus Howard really didn't show a whole lot of emotion. He's been asked about the achievement, even the build-up to it, and then, of course, after it happened about 8 days ago, and didn't show really any emotion, but he did during that pregame ceremony, didn't he?
It means something, Lisa, when everybody is on their feet, you know, applauding your efforts. It doesn't go unnoticed on him.
Howard, that's his first miss. He's got the only 4 points here for Marquette coming out of that timeout. That's the first attempt there for Greg Elliott, who's been struggling with all kinds of injuries here throughout his career. Last year, or this year, I should say, he had right ankle surgery in the summer. Last year, he had thumb surgery. Still trying to get back conditioning-wise and basketball fitness-wise.
Elliott's one of those slippery players, long, can get to the rim, and pretty good defender.
And Morrow checks in for the first time, going up against Williams, and he takes it right at Williams.
Well, Ed Morrow Jr. is going to be quite familiar with going up against Purdue, having played against them several times in his days at Nebraska. So that's one advantage, to have a guy that was in the Big Ten, kind of knows Purdue's tendencies.
Here's Williams coming over, and the body there, but what an attempt for Brendan Bailey. That'll be his first personal.
Brendan Bailey trying to protect the rim like his old man right there. But he felt a freight train coming. Travion going strong, almost gets the and one, but good foul by Bailey, making him earn it at the line.
I had to look twice to see if that was a skinnier Theo John coming over.
That's a great call.
He did his best Theo John impression. Travion Williams coming off the bench is the backup for Matt Harms as he misses that attempt. You could really argue that Travion Williams, in terms of the 5 spot, has really actually put up better numbers and played a little bit better than Harms, who got into foul trouble last Saturday against Texas.
That's right. And you know what? Travion Williams, and I have to give Matt Painter and his staff a lot of credit because their players know their roles. They don't get outside of themselves, but they thrive and flourish within those roles. Oh, that's offensive. Oh, you can't call that on Nojel Eason and not call that off-arm on Howard.
That's his second, too, by the way.
Wow, that's an awfully tough break right there for Purdue. So he got away with one earlier, and then right there, Stefanovic doesn't go down on his own. And I think, you know, Nojel was just trying to bother the pass there. Tough break for the Boilers.
He's got a couple of fouls, so he'll take a seat here with about 14 minutes left to play in the first half. That's your best defensive player and the guy who kind of initiates the offense this year for Purdue. Missing badly is Jamal Kane on that attempt. Here's the push, and again, Purdue pushing. Stefanovic with his first attempt. He hit his first 4 3-point shots against Texas.
He's got the ultimate green light. When he gets some airspace, he's letting it fly.
And he missed the opener against Green Bay, dealing with a foot injury. Didn't even know if he would play against Texas. He made an incredible impact, 14 points in that game as Williams picks up his first.
That's one thing, when you're playing Marquette, you really have to be cognizant of Marcus Howard at all times. Not just because of his scoring, but he puts so much pressure on the opposing team. He can get you in foul trouble all by himself.
Well, now with Nojel Eastern out, they have Eric Hunter on him, a shorter defender, and he goes right at him. Williams pulls it down. Purdue, again, looks like they want to push the pace if they can. Marquette getting all 5 back that time. Proctor had hit a 3 to open the game, misses that time. And a walking violation there on Wheeler.
You know what I'm saying, Lisa? Both of these teams are kind of keyed up a little bit, so guys are moving quicker. We saw McEwen shoot an air ball. Kane shot an air ball right there. Wheeler trying to get going too quickly and shuffle those puppies.
Well, you know, I said the fans have been waiting all day to play in this game. We'll still have the players, right? Yeah. It is tough to get a later tip start.
Great point.
When you're waiting all night. Purdue actually shot around at 10:30 local time, and then really didn't touch a basketball until they arrived about 6 o'clock here at Fiserv Forum. There's the first bucket for Kane.
Well, I'm really impressed right now with Marquette. They got down 9-0. They look like deer in headlights. They settled down after the timeout, and they have systematically got themselves back in this game.
Yeah, Wojciechowski called the timeout. Now it's been an 8-0 run. Stefanovic hits his first deep attempt.
You really have to caboose him, meaning that you have to stay right on his back through any kind of screen, because if he gets a clean look, it's going up.
Purdue started hot. They were 4 of 5 before that Stefanovic attempt. They were 1 of 4 since that hot start when they missed only one shot. Morrill again with the kick out to the corner. That time, it won't fall for Elliott.
Well, Marquette's getting pretty good looks. Just not converting right now. And Purdue's defensive pressure has been stellar, but Marquette's settled down here lately and gotten some good looks.
Elliott defending Stefanovic. Proctor, this is what he does. Kicks it out to Wheeler for 3. Rattles it home.
And that's good poise right there by Jihad Proctor. We've seen a couple times he's gotten really in tight spaces, but he's got enough experience to make the right play.
First shot attempt for Wheeler. Actually, Purdue has hit 3 of 6 from back there. They average about 7 per game. So really on pace maybe to surpass that a little bit. Most of their points have come in the paint, but not at the start here tonight.
Well, you're talking about 3-point shot. Stefanovic with the first, and then Aaron Wheeler says, I don't want to get left out of the party.
We go back. We got to have high hands. You've done it twice. When you retreat and go back, have high hands. He'll come and pause, and he kind of waits for you to leave, and then he wants to get his game on. Have your hands up. Both people.
Matt Painter referring to whoever is guarding Marcus Howard in the screen and roll situation. Have your hands up. Keep your hands up to try to discourage easy looks or him being able to pick you apart with the pass. So Matt Painter being very specific about pick-and-roll defense against Marcus Howard.
Well, the ball screen defense gave him headaches against Texas. In particular, I mentioned that late turnovers in that game on Saturday, but he had picked out even 3 different possessions towards the end of the game, ball screen possessions defensively, where he said that we made mistakes in 3 different ways. We would have been better to just take the ball and punt it into the stands, and then we would have won the game.
That's right. Live ball turnovers really hurt you down the stretch. And Purdue had those in the most inopportune time the other night against Texas.
But they go right back to Wheeler. They got an arm bar, personal foul call on Brendan Bailey, and that is number 2 on Bailey. You know Brendan Bailey's story. He was recruited by Wojo, but he decided to go on a Mormon mission in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years, so he should actually be a senior with Marcus Howard, and instead, he's a sophomore.
Yeah, and you know what? Talking to Thurl Bailey, his dad last year, you know, guys develop at different paces, and so he definitely needed that redshirt time, Lisa, to really start to fill out his body.
But that's really 2 years where he's not playing basketball.
That's true.
He did try to get some shots up, but a really regimented schedule, of course, and not getting basketball playing time on a quarter, 5-on-5, and he was a little bit behind, and he's trying to play catch-up last year and this year. Stefanovic providing a wall to Adam, doesn't matter. Good ball movement there from Marquette, and John gets the and one.
Tell you what, I'm impressed with the physicality of Marquette. Purdue is really body checking them well, but Marquette has settled down, accepting the contact, and Theo John, I mean, he and Travion Williams are 2 of the stronger players on the floor. Nice focus and concentration by Theo John at the rim.
Mentioned 2 of the better shot blockers in the country. You'll see Theo John coming off the game, the opener against Loyola Maryland, where he had a career-high 8 blocks. Matt Harms opened the season with 7 blocks against Green Bay. Boutreau gets absolutely tackled there by Jamal Cain.
Purdue's doing a pretty good job against this 3-quarter court pressure. But like Boutreau got away with a little 2-step there. Jamal Cain made sure after losing his feet. I'm glad no one got hurt there. That had a potential to be ugly.
Marquette isn't shy. It is not Theo John that's just flying out there with these shot attempts.
At least I have to admit, you know, when I was playing, which was a long time ago, I didn't really know statistics about teams. I wonder if Marquette knows that Purdue is 9-0 against them. And if that's you know, they don't need any motivation, but that could be a little bit of something behind their, you know, little motivation coming into tonight.
Does it feel like you played a long time ago?
I still look good, if that's what you mean.
And you're still humble, if that's what I mean. Stefanovic has picked up his 2nd.
The day that you start calling guys that you played against their sons, that's when you feel old. And that happened a little while ago.
Well, let me ask you, as a player, would you care if you were 0-9 in a series that really was played a majority of the time decades ago?
Yes, it would mean something to me. And it would, you know, because guys use that on the floor. You can't really tell, but these guys are talking to each other the whole game.
Cain with a fadeaway. Nicely done from the baseline.
Uh-oh, Big Daddy Cain is getting warmed up over here. Jamal Cain could get it going. Great size at the wing, and when he's confident, he can create some offense.
Well, after the beginning Purdue burst, this has been close between these 2 teams, and an offensive foul call there on Matt Harms. Oh, Proctor. Check that, Jahad Proctor with the push-off.
College basketball is so competitive that coaches use every little ounce that they possibly can. And I would bet that the Marquette players know about this streak. And they have a lot of pride here, as does the Big East versus the Big Ten. It's bragging rights on the line.
The Gavitt games involving 16 teams and 8 different games going on all week. DePaul and Iowa opened up the week. DePaul getting us maybe a surprise win of the Gavitt games. Coming from behind. Jamal Cain, no one saw him coming.
Now, I thought Theo John would try to save that. After the block, he just kind of let it go out of bounds. But heck of a play by Jamal Cain. Look at the timing. Great job without fouling. Boy, he has really brought some energy off the bench here in the first half.
Looking to be more of a rotation player again after seeing his minutes cut half last year. He averaged about 17 minutes per game his freshman year. Cut down to about 9 minutes last season. But again, a lot of these Marquette players have expanding roles here this year. Here's Hunter. Elliott takes it away. Harms going baseline, finger roll, count the bucket. He'll go to the free throw line.
Matt Harms. Big fella, 7-footer, catching on the wing. No hesitation. Gets all the way to the rim. That is a beautiful move. That indicates to me, Lisa, that his confidence is sky high. You would not have seen that last year from Matt Harms. I love these Gavitt games. I tell you what, I love them. Two of the best conferences in the country. They have healthy respect for one another. And you see some high-level basketball.
It's been pretty even, too. The annual 8-game series between the Big Ten and the Big East. Most of the years, it's actually been deadlocked at 4-4. The Big East winning 4 and the Big Ten winning 4. Purdue now 0 for 5 with free throws here tonight, by the way, as No-Gel Eastern has checked back in, gets the bucket.
That's a good sign for Purdue, and No-Gel Eastern gets in the scoring column. I'm going to give you a little bit more energy to play the kind of defense that he's capable of playing.
Here's Howard. All he needs is some daylight. Possible 4-point play.
Wow, Matt Painter is trying to tell DJ Carstensen he thought that was a flop. Let's take a look. It looked like No-Gel Eastern's momentum carried him into Marcus Howard. Take another look. Yeah, I think that's legitimate. That's great concentration. One of the best scorers in college basketball, if not the best, Marcus Howard.
And No-Gel Eastern now 2,000 career points after that bucket, by the way. And he's got a 4-point play and 8 points in this game. No-Gel Eastern has to go back to the bench because he picked up his 3rd personal. He went back into this game, had a cup of coffee, and had to go back sit down.
And it's tough. You know, when you come back in with 2 fouls in the first half, you're already tentative, and then you're trying to guard a guy like Marcus Howard. That's a tough task.
What do you make of Matt Painter's decision to put Eastern back in?
You know, he's done it before. He didn't hesitate to put him back in. It's just, it's a difficult decision to make because you're trying to slow down Howard, but you're without your best defender for the rest of the first half.
Meanwhile, Proctor has 7 points as Harms comes over. Kick out to Cain. Sizes it up, misses everything.
Well, that's the 3rd air ball we've seen from Marquette shooters in long range.
This is their home court, too.
Right.
Good crowd coming out on this late Wednesday night. As Hunter tried to finish with the finger roll. Marcus Howard, 2,000 career points. Something to watch. One of the faces of college basketball. Sit back and enjoy. Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. A look inside Fiserv Forum. Gavitt games from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Purdue 21, Marquette 17. We'll go inside the huddle with Wojo.
On the defensive end, we cannot let our offense affect our defense. We got to pick things from the defensive end. It's going to be a grinder game. It's going to be a grinder game, possession by possession. Listen, you got to live in the paint.
Coach Coach Wojciechowski and his staff are trying to get his team to understand it's possession by possession. Don't look too far ahead. Don't worry about what's happened. Stay present-minded and stay with your principles because it's going to be a grinded-out game. I like that approach, having guys settle down, remind them of their roles, remind them of what the game plan is, and then give them confidence.
Fascinating to watch him in the shoot-around this afternoon, where he emphasized that 60% so far through the 2 games for Purdue have come in the paint here offensively. Matt Painter won't be one to shy away from telling you that himself. Here's Wheeler for 3. Having said that, they have hit 3 threes here tonight. Wheeler staying with it, and he gets the and one.
It's interesting that Purdue is starting to have some guys off the bench really step up. Not Wheeler necessarily, but Travion Williams is creating space in the paint that time for Wheeler to come down the lane and get that pass. So little things that are happening right now, not necessarily scoring, but Williams' size is creating some space for his teammates.
He's 6'9", 280 with that size. Actually, the 280, he's downsized a little bit.
I tell you what, that's, I'm really impressed, Lisa, with these young players in college basketball. You hear about guys changing their diets, dropping weight. That takes a lot of discipline. That is not an easy thing to do. And if you think back to when you were in college, somebody tell me to stop eating hamburgers, and I look at them like they were crazy.
Well, these days they have dietitians and nutritionists and things that they didn't have in Champaign back in your day.
That's true. We had our share of pretty good steak, though. I will say that.
Kendall Gill let you have some steak? You didn't eat it all?
I ate it when he wasn't looking.
We have actually our first flopping warning here tonight. And again, this has been an emphasis for this year only. The second warning, we'll see here, and they're going to call a flopping warning there on Marcus Howard with his head going back. And again, you get one team warning, and the next warning will be a Class B technical foul. The steal, and Wheeler is off to the races. How about that? And I'm coming over.
Wow, Sakar Annam is smiling because he knew not to give up on the play. Just like Aaron Wheeler got away with a little bit of a kick there. But Sakar Annam doesn't get upset. He just goes back and makes a terrific block.
Wheeler feeding Williams. Had to go underhand over the outstretched arms of Morrow.
Well, these guys have, Wheeler and Williams have great chemistry. You can see that they can look at each other and know exactly where to go.
That's Howard taking it all the way.
Marcus Howard got deep that time on the penetration. Surprised he was even able to get that one off.
It's the second on Morrow. Purdue right now on a 7-0 run. Last bucket coming from Williams. I'm telling you, on that bucket, as he goes to the free throw line, you could see just the quickness of his feet, and then just going underhand. He's got the touch in and around the rim.
And that's not an easy shot. He made it look easy, but that's not. With the defense hanging on your back and trying to elude a block shot.
Having trouble at the free throw line. 1 for 7 right now for Purdue.
That will come back and bite you at some point in the game. Just when you're playing high-level competition, they'll learn how to take advantage of that.
A 9-point advantage could be double digits if they make their free throws here in this first half. Here's Williams outside the three-point line as Thompson comes around, searching for his first points of his career. The freshman gets a second crack at it, and he hits his first 3 of his Purdue career. Isaiah Thompson.
Well, look, he's all smiles. The freshman on the big stage. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
And Isaiah Thompson was smiling for ear to ear, but so was older brother PJ, of course, the point guard at Purdue from 2015 to 2018, a 3-year starter. Now a graduate assistant sitting on the bench for Purdue.
Yeah, these guys, it's funny talking to he and Grady Eifert, who are on the bench now, and the difference between being a player and a coach, and they just had this, oh my goodness, just a lot more difficult on that coaching side than just coming out and playing.
I spoke to PJ in the shoot-around. He said he walked up to little brother this year and said that this is going to be by far your toughest year. You just got to get through it. He was 0 for 5 shooting in the opener against Green Bay. Matt Painter tried to give him some minutes very deliberately. He didn't play a whole lot against Texas, so it's good to see that bucket go through for him.
It is, and you know, Isaiah's got to feel very fortunate to have an older brother that's been through the process, that's on the bench. And not a lot of guys have that advantage because, listen, the number 5 pick in the 1990 NBA draft did not know that he wondered if he belonged to Illinois his freshman year. Talking about Kendall Gill. As a 15-year NBA pro, and his freshman year, he wondered whether he was in over his head.
McEwen taking it all the way. Getting nothing out of that. The quick outlet there to Hunter. We'll see what he can do as Howard comes over with the swipe.
2 times, really good defensive pursuit by Marquette, not allowing an easy layup. Marcus Howard getting back defensively. I think if Hunter doesn't bobble that, he may get to the rim before Howard can get there.
Here's Thompson looking to turn the corner. Now he's got the floater. That won't fall. Williams still battling for it to keep it alive. Another offensive rebound here for Purdue. They've got 9 of them, but Proctor walks with it.
Coach Painter is telling him one more pass, and Hunter would have had an open look.
4 turnovers here so far in the second half. You see the second chance points for Purdue off of the 9 offensive rebounds, and several categories Purdue leading, not just on the scoreboard. Rebounds, they have a plus advantage. Offensive rebounds, second chance points. Five to go here in this first half. McEwen, no look to John. He's got a crowd coming on the block. And he's looking to feed Kane, cutting inside, diving inside. The foul committed there on Proctor. That is number 2 on Jihad Proctor.
Well, Jihad Proctor looked to be in pretty good position that time. Might have been a little contact when he went after the basketball, but Purdue is playing some inspired basketball. They got out to that quick lead, Lisa. Marquette settled down, but then they have really had the Boilers really dominated the paint area here in the last 5 minutes.
Well, the last 3 minutes or so, Purdue on a 10-0 run. As Kane knocks it down. Mentioned he's trying to get his minutes up. He did play 24 minutes in the opener. You think of someone like Jamal Kane coming off the bench, as well as Greg Elliott. Sakar Annam as starter, but some of those guys are the guys that I'm talking about, expanded roles that Marquette needs to see a little bit more of this year.
I agree, because Marcus Howard can take you a lot of places, get you to the NCAA tournament, but at some point you have to have your teammates carry their weight to be an elite basketball team, and Marquette has the makings of that.
To Thompson. He hit that 3 before. He was feeling it. Too strong that time.
Boy, McEwen, he really looks like he's getting away with a carry.
Kane won't get away with a walk. The 4th turnover for Marquette, who actually, for Steve Wojciechowski, has done a better job in taking care of the basketball after the first couple of possessions.
And I have to remind myself and the viewers that we're only a week and a half into the college basketball season. So typically in November, you see sloppy play, you see hurried situations. And because this is such a high-level game, I forget sometimes, Lisa, that it's still at the beginning of the season. That's why we're seeing missed free throws, turnovers, and hurried play sometimes.
Two teams and programs trying to build off of NCAA tournament appearances last year. Of course, Purdue making it all the way to the Elite Eight. Marquette making it to the NCAAs and getting knocked out in the first round. There's a bucket for Hunter.
Well, Hunter has really improved his game. He's gotten a lot stronger. I know it doesn't look like he's putting size on that frame, but he has.
McEwen calling for the screen. He'll get it from John. Proctor chasing him into the corner as they swing it around to Ellie. Now single digits on the shot clock. McEwen will pull up for three.
Well, I tell you what, it's been the doors have opened a few times on these Marquette long-range jumpers. I mean, I've seen 3 air balls. That one had no chance.
Golden Eagles have missed their last 6 shots, by the way, and the air has been taken out of this building.
Purdue feeling good about themselves right now. Double-digit lead. Marquette trying to hang in there.
The Gavitt tip-off games continue tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern. Penn State battles Georgetown, and Cassius Winston and number 3 Michigan State face off with Quincy McKnight and number 12 Seton Hall. Catch it all on FS1 and, of course, the Fox Sports app. Here it's Purdue and Marquette. 31-18 is your score. Wednesday night, really kind of the final games on this Wednesday going on. And here's what has happened here throughout the week. DePaul, about the Blue Demons in Iowa City.
Have the most wins in college basketball right now. Through the DePaul Blue Demons. Impressive victory in Iowa City.
Michigan taking one against Creighton. Juwan Howard's debut here in the Gavitt tip-off games. Kind of a tight one last night against Butler in Minnesota, and not a tight one between Ohio State and Villanova earlier.
A little surprised at that, but Villanova, one of the younger teams in the Big East. The Big East returns 34 of 50 starters this year. So this is a veteran league, and they're going to have a lot of success, as you've seen early in the season. And that Michigan State-Seton Hall game is going to be an outstanding one. It would be even better if Miles Powell would play and be healthy. I doubt that he's going to get a chance to play.
Well, just recently got injured last weekend. And I think everybody was kind of excited to see maybe a Cassius Winston-Miles Powell showdown.
Hey, I'm excited to see that Penn State-Georgetown game because Lamar Stevens, one of the top forwards in all of college basketball, and Georgetown with that dynamic backcourt matched up with, I always say, mess his name up, but Omer Yurtseven, 7-foot transfer from NC State. That ought to be a very interesting matchup.
Well, here in this showdown, Marquette has hit a little bit of a dry spell. The last field goal coming with 8:50 left in the first half. There's a block by Harms. They'll let you know it.
The paint area tonight on both ends of the floor is not for the faint at heart. If you go in that paint area, you better be strong with the rock because there's going to be a lot of contact.
0 for 8. Last few attempts here for Marquette, and boy, Purdue has taken advantage of it. Part of a 14-1 run. Backdoor to Harms for the flush.
Great job by Purdue. Stefanovic, you're not used to seeing him come off of a back screen and then turn around and throw a back screen on Matt Harms. Really nice wrinkle here. You see there 2 guys guarding Stefanovic at the free throw line because he set a back screen on Matt Harms on field. John freeing up Matt Harms at the, if I can get it out, at the rim. Nice job in execution by Purdue. I'm in early season form myself.
It's a lot of vowels and syllables.
Yeah,
trying to spit out.
Yes.
This is what, game 3 for you? Game 4 for you?
5.
Game 12 for you?
5. So I should be in mid-season form by now, but I'm not. Glad we can laugh about it, though.
I do love these matchups, though, in November. Just games that count. It's the 5th annual, of course, named after Dave Gavitt. Naismith Hall of Famer, basketball coach, AD at Providence College, again the first commissioner of the Big East. Stefanovic, nothing but net on that pretty shot.
Boy, and I thought those 2 free throws from McEwen would kind of settle Marquette down and get them going a little bit, but Stefanovic, he continues to find space.
Largest lead of the game here tonight, plus 18 here for Purdue. Boilermakers have looked good at the start of this half and towards the end of the half. 19-3 scoring run and counting in the last 7 minutes. John gets the second attempt.
See, those are the type of plays that will get Marquette back in this game. Get on the offensive glass, give your team another chance.
And a pump fake. Got hit from behind. Sasha Stefanovic. Mentioned he hit his first 4 threes against Texas. Looking pretty good here tonight, too.
Kind of looking like his dad, Lou, at Illinois State. Shooting from long range and feeling good about it.
2 free throws for the Golden Eagles.
And, you know, he's Stefanovic got a little hair thing going. Not quite like Matt Harms, but I kind of like the dude there.
Got the hair and the facial hair going.
Yeah, I kind of like that. These guys, there we go. I love it. And you know what? I think Matt Harms has been listening to folks because you remember I used to talk about him putting his hand in his hair like 4 or 5 times a game. He stopped doing that. I didn't want him to stop. I was just, I was just making light of it.
Pass deflected. There from Kane. Purdue keeps it. Wheeler will pull up from up top.
Oh, man. Okay, so the windows have been open on both ends now here in the first half.
Thompson chasing from around the screen, and they feed Chance. Harms all over it.
If you're going up against Matt Harms, you better try to dunk it. Because if you go straight up, big fella can get his hand on almost anything around that rim.
He's hit a couple of those threes already this year. And the 3 from up top, McEwen. But Marquette was playing 4-on-5 on that possession.
I think Sakar Annam took a nasty elbow to the head. McEwen gets the 3 off. Let's take a look underneath. Oh, okay. Like Wheeler, they got a shot in on him going after the offensive rebound. So hopefully Sakar can get his composure back.
Well, they tend to Annam. We were 30 seconds away from the half. In our Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report, we'll talk about that Villanova-Ohio State game that you saw earlier here on FS1, and we'll talk about the first half that you're seeing here in Milwaukee. Ohio State, well-balanced attack. About 4 guys in double figures. Caleb Wesson with a double-double here tonight.
Caleb Wesson, one of the premier bigs in all of college basketball. When Ohio State runs their offense through him, they're going to be very difficult to beat. Got some outstanding freshmen that have come onto the scene.
Speaking of one of the bigs, Matt Harms doesn't just have great hair.
No, he's got great hands, great shot blocking ability. And this is where the play that I was most impressed with, when he went baseline and got the N1 opportunity. I mean, he has shown a little bit of everything here this evening.
Well, his stat line, you see the 3 blocks, 8 points. 8 total blocks for the season coming into tonight. I mentioned that he had 7 that he picked up against Green Bay. Had 1 block against Texas. Led the league last year, led the Big Ten in blocks and also field goal percentage. The only other Big Ten player to do that is Greg Oden. Pretty good company. Purdue will try to hold it for one final shot.
Watch Wheeler get this pass in the Big East emblem.
How about Proctor from the corner? Won't get it. Harms with another offensive rebound. They kick it out to Hunter. Tip won't foul for Wheeler. Marquette's got some time and a chance. Elliott throws it up. No good. Purdue with a 13-point advantage. In the end of the first half, 38-25. Three-point shooting has been big for the Boilermakers. We'll bring it back here to Milwaukee after this. From downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is the Jeep halftime report. And Purdue with a double-digit advantage, 38-25 over the home team, Marquette. Thank you for joining us, Stephen Bardo and Lisa Byington with you. Well, the 13-point advantage because of a really good start in the first half and a really good finish of the first half for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, they did a great job of bookending the first half with dominance in the paint. They took 15 threes. They had nice balance offensively, but they really made an effort to establish themselves in the paint. Matt Harms doing an excellent job putting it on the deck from the perimeter. A nice back screen from Stefanovic that got him open at the rim. And then Stefanovic doing his part from long range. Doing a great job coming off the screen, full speed, and letting it fly. But Marcus Howard, you know he can do that. Step away from the D. And the concentration on the three-point make and free throw make over Nigel Eastern. Marcus Howard trying to keep his Golden Eagles in this game.
But that three-pointer was the last field goal made by Marcus Howard. It came with 8:50 left in the first half, and since then he hasn't done anything. And Howard with 8 points here in the first half. What one of these stats here stands out to you in terms of Purdue dominance?
Offensive rebounds, 12-4 advantage for Purdue, 14-4 second chance points. So a lot of paint action, 18-8 in points in the paint, all advantage for Purdue.
Nice look here at the downtown Milwaukee view. Right around the corner, we'll send it over to LA with Mike Hill and Steve Lavin.
Ohio State 3-0 on the season. Earlier tonight, they knocked off Villanova 76-51, led by as many as 30 points. Got the 25-point victory here tonight in Columbus, Ohio. Get you back out to the second half of Marquette and Purdue in just a second. Mike Hill, Steve Lavin hanging out with you. But once again, Ohio State led by as many as 31 by 25 points. And the guards led the way for the Buckeyes here tonight.
Yeah, this is one of those rare nights where Villanova got taken to the woodshed, just completely waxed and outplayed at both sides of the floor by this Ohio State team. And it was early and often, and they never looked back. I mean, they dominated from start to finish, and it was guard play early. 9 of 16 on the night. They didn't shoot a lot of threes, but they were precise, shooting 56% from long range. I mean, tickling the twine from all angles. The EJ, CJ, and DJ show was on display.
Yeah.
And they get a grade of an A. And then, of course, Caleb Wesson down low. Again, a double-double, the durable one, the upperclassman. This was just a balanced Ohio State attack. And give Chris Holtman credit. You know, his team struggled in their first 2 games early.
Yes.
They've made some adjustments. They came out with the right mindset. They were aggressive and confident and just lit it up.
Yeah, they made their first 6 shots and once again led by as many as 30 points. Shot 68% in the second half as they go to 3-0 on the season. Meanwhile, Villanova 1-1. They hadn't played in 8 days before this one. How much of a factor was rust coming out in this one against Ohio State?
Yeah, I think when you look back in a game like this, there are a number of factors. The time off, a factor. Let's face it, Gillespie, most of the preseason has been fighting injuries, not practicing, and as a result, not as sharp, not in the condition he'd ideally like to be. Also wearing that mask is less than ideal. Then you've got some newcomers, some young blood on this team. This environment, let's face it, little deer in the headlights, a factor. And also because of what was lost. Last year they relied on Phil Booth, Eric Paschal, where they were going to go. That was the 2-man game, late clock, late game. Villanova played through those 2 players. They've moved on. And so again, Villanova, a team early that's retooling, trying to figure themselves out, tinkering in the laboratory. Got to be an alchemist. That's what Jay Wright gets paid to do, and he's as good as any in the country at doing it.
Shot just 34% here tonight against Ohio State, but as you remember, they lost to Michigan last year in the Gavitt games. Got blown out in that one, but at the same time, they came back and won the Big East once again. All right, 76-51 final here tonight. Back out second half to Marquette, Purdue. Right after this, Lisa and Steven with the call.
changes in this one. Purdue has led the entire way in a 13-point advantage over Marquette. The first 5 minutes, Stephen Barlow, what do you want to see from each team?
Purdue to reestablish themselves in a post that was really good to them in the first half. For Marquette to start getting some better action on the half-court sets offensively. They've got to pick up their pace, kind of put Purdue back on their heels because Purdue took it to them defensively. See if they can get Marcus Howard going quickly here to start the second half.
You saw the leading scorers there. Harms with 8, Howard with 8, and again, the last bucket from Marcus Howard came with 8:50 left in the first half, part of that 4-point play that he got.
And Lisa, you've worked with me long enough to know that this is the most critical juncture of the game. First 5 minutes of the second half to establish yourself going down the stretch.
And interesting that Stefanovic is the one who's starting out the second half here for Purdue. No Nogel Eastern, who again had 3 personal fouls, only played 5 minutes in the first half.
Matt Painter, one of the better field coaches in all of college basketball. What I mean by that, he feels that Stefanovic has an advantage right now over
McEwen having the advantage on that step back.
There you go.
Now, I talked to Matt Painter just about his substitution patterns at shoot-around today because there were a couple runs that Texas made against Purdue when Matt Harms was out of the lineup and Eastern was out of the lineup. He says he is a gut kind of coach, and most coaches are, right, with substitutions, but he'll go back and he'll self-scout himself with the substitutions that he makes, and though it might feel right at the time, it doesn't feel right when he goes back and looks at the tape sometimes.
Sure. And Nogel Eastern on the bench starting the second half there with 3 fouls, but you know what, Lisa? I like that because he's been in enough games. Purdue's won the most games in the Big Ten over the latest period. So I think his gut is more right than not.
And here's the situation, too. Nogel Eastern is supposed to be your lockdown defender, but right now, Marcus Howard is not hurting Purdue. Coming over for the block, it's Wheeler, but he gets whistled for the foul instead, trying to challenge on that play against Theo John.
That's a great point, Lisa, talking about Nogel Eastern. Well, let's check this out. Elliott with an excellent penetration. You didn't see that a lot in the first half from Marquette. The penetration down the lane, looking opposite for the big to get an opportunity at the rim. Nice job by Greg Elliott.
Meanwhile, Marquette with the same starters here in the second half that they began in the first half. Free throws are a struggle. And Marquette has had more success at it here tonight. That's their second miss.
Marquette, over the years, has been a pretty good free throw shooting team.
And John empty-handed on both those attempts. .30% shooting from the free throw line, as you see there for Purdue. Hand off to Proctor. Blocked by John.
Proctor got too deep on the penetration. Didn't see Theo John coming from behind.
Yeah, he was just sitting on that and out of the hands there of Greg Elliott.
That's one thing about Greg Elliott. I know he's coming back off of multiple injuries. He's got to get stronger. Still a little loose with the basketball, a little herky-jerky. Gotta really honor the possessions, especially when you're trying to cut into a double-digit deficit.
Trying to feed Harms inside up against John. Against one of the better shot blockers, got that up and over.
It's a great touch, but Theo John was in perfect position defensively. Just a great play by Matt Harms.
Double figures now for Harms at 10. He's the first of double digits. Bailey pulls and fires.
Oh, that was not a good decision. Steve Wojciechowski is not pleased with Bailey on that attempt.
And what did Wojciechowski tell us at shoot-around? He feels like Brendan Bailey sometimes has to be the X factor for them tonight. Stefanovic lets it fly.
I mean, when Stefanovic hits the backboard and the side of the rim, something's going on because this guy can shoot it. I said those air balls and those bricks become contagious after a while.
Into the corner, and suddenly it's McEwen who has the hot hand for Marquette. He's at 10.
Kobe McEwen was a really good scorer at Utah State. A confident young man. Big point guard, can play both positions in the guard position.
Got a foul away from the action in the basket.
Well, look at that deep position, that post position by Matt Harms, and you don't typically see a big with that kind of touch. And Kobe McEwen is like, hey, I can't wait on anybody. He's kind of forced the issue. He hit a three at the end of the first half, comes out here, and gets it going again in the second.
Well, a couple years ago against Utah State, his last full season that he had played, he attempted over 200 threes in that year.
Well, that's the neon green light, isn't it? Man.
I'd say so. Harms getting double teamed. Finds a cutting Wheeler off the glass, and it rolls off. McEwen now on the push. He's had the last couple of buckets here for Marquette. And Hunter just tracking Howard, and he'll fire and hit.
You know how hard that is, Lisa? Hunter was all over Marcus Howard. And he just kind of looked at him, let him jump, and got that three to drop.
They got life back in this building thanks to the 13-2 run. Howard's last field goal again, 8:50 in the first half, over a 12-minute field goal drought for Marcus Howard that ended on this last bucket.
Watch the poise. This is so critical. Watch the poise. Just wait a little bit. Get my feet right. Let them fly by. Nothing but cotton. Marcus Howard, if you had him on your team, you were never out of a ball game.
And when I talked to Matt Painter about substitution patterns, also talked to him about when and where to call a timeout. Now we're about 28 seconds away from a under-16 media timeout, but if you get a feeling that Marcus Howard starts getting on that hot streak, better believe Purdue might call that TO awfully quickly. You feel this comeback kind of coming when you got a hot shooter there. Williams is challenged there by Morrow, and it's Morrow whistled for the foul.
But Purdue was fortunate in that exchange. Looked like Hunter was going to have a turnover there. He tipped it to Trevion Williams. Wow, I understand why the Marquette faithful are a little bit disturbed by that call. Looked like a lot of basketball there for Ed Morrow.
Williams has had a tough time at the free throw line. 0 for 3 before these attempts. 0 for 4.
That one looked better because at least he reached into the cookie jar, Lisa. The last few times he shot, his follow-through has gone to the left. It's not a straight follow-through. That time it was better even though he missed it. Watch his follow-through here.
See, he's shooting right into that student section as well. Follow through it better.
Much better. And you know what? Students don't understand this. When they're doing all that, that helps the shooter. You know that, right?
How does that help the shooter?
Because it makes the backboard and the rim stand out even more. If they were to sit there and be quiet, that would make it tougher on the free throw shooter.
The student sections take note across the country. I don't think they're going to stop doing that, Steve.
And they should.
Stefanovic with the pick. Shovel pass into the hands there of Hunter for the transition 2.
Well, every time Marquette makes a little push, Purdue seems to have an answer. Even though Marcus Howard has scored a little bit, I think Eric Hunter has done a pretty good job defending him.
Yeah, I'd say so. Here's a look. Won't fall for Bailey. Elliott, second opportunity off the glass for 2 and 1.
Sign of a good team. When they're down, you've got multiple contributors, and Greg Elliott doesn't want to get left out of the party.
College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. All kinds of fun this week. It's Big Ten against Big East. Stephen Bartle, Lisa Byington with you. Thanks for joining us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 43-35 your advantage. Purdue has led the entire way, as many as 18 points, but Marcus Howard and Marquette are charging at the beginning of the second half.
They really are. They're trying to establish themselves on the interior as well. Greg Elliott went and got a man-sized rebound and an old-school three-point play opportunity, but more important, he got on the offensive glass. What Purdue was doing to them, they're giving them back a little bit of medicine.
And Greg Elliott beginning this second half in the place of Sakar Anum here for Marquette, who has returned to the bench whenever he was helped off towards the end of the first half. He makes good on the free throw, Elliott does. Backdoor look as Eastern checks in for the first time in the second half, playing with the 3 fouls. Wheeler with 3, and now Eastern with 3, and both of them are on the floor right now for Purdue. Here's John inside the lane, and one.
Great job by Marquette. Again, in the paint. They're not settling for threes. Excellent recognition by Marcus Howard. Theo John takes the bump and the concentration and kind of stares at Wheeler to let him know.
Yeah, and that's number 4 on Wheeler. Remember, I said both Wheeler and Eastern on the court right now for Purdue, and now it's Wheeler who's got to take a seat with the 4 personals.
You know, Lisa, in these high-powered games, these national recognition games going against Power 5 conferences, if you pick up a foul early, it just throws you the rest of the game. It's a rare player at this level that can overcome early foul trouble and still be aggressive.
Backdoor look off the hands of Stefanovic, and another Purdue turnover.
Travion Williams had the right idea. Just put a little bit, led Stefanovic a little bit too much.
This is the nip and tuck game that we were expecting tonight. One of the later tips of the Gavitt games on this Wednesday. That was Eastern who got a tip from behind, got a piece.
And I have to say, that was not a good decision by Nojel Eastern. I mean, that could have easily been his 4th foul.
Picked up 3 in the first half, and he's now defending Kane. For the moment, they'll leave Eric Hunter on Marcus Howard.
Well, Marcus Howard was upset with his teammates, feeling like they didn't work hard enough to get open that time.
Here's Hunter Hawking. Howard in the corner. We see that double team coming with the big kind of hedging off that screen for Purdue every time Howard comes off a ball screen. And we'll try to sort this out with a jump ball. It'll be Purdue basketball.
Oh, Greg Elliott trying to, he turns down the screen action. Stefanovic just attacks him and causes the tie-up.
Greg Elliott did a good job here to start this second half here for Marquette, trying to shake that off. Sakar Annam checking back in for the Golden Eagles. Hand off to Hunter with Howard pursuing. They wanted a walk. Won't get it. Stefanovic loses it again. On the push, McEwen to Howard. Daylight. Marquette will keep it.
Sakar Annam with a heads-up play. He could have taken that shot, but gave it over to Marcus Howard. And then Stefanovic trying to go after the ball. Nice job by Sakar Annam twice. Made the pass to Howard and then knocks it off of Stefanovic's leg. Boy, this game is getting extremely physical.
Blocked by Williams. Marquette keeps it. Howard with the look off. Over to McEwen. Offensive foul call. That's the 3rd on Kane.
Dang, and then Stefanovic inadvertently kicked Kane in the face when they went to the floor. That's a great call. But watch this, right there. And it was not intentional at all. But this is November basketball. week and a half of the season, it looks like March.
Well, if you're a lip reader, too, you just saw Stefanovic look over at Matt Painter, and he said, I'm the 4. And he's the 4 in this lineup. They got a smaller lineup with no Joe Eastern kind of initiating the offense at the point here for Purdue. Here's Hunter coming around the screen.
Oh, man. That's savvy, Lisa. I mean, he threw his shoulder to get Howard off balance. He waited for him to blow by, and it took his time. That's a nice play by Hunter.
Hunter's had a nice game. He's got 8 points. And has been caught with the duties of chasing Marcus Howard all night. McEwen hanging and hooping. He's got 12.
McEwen's going to have to be that second option offensively, I think, for Marquette to have the type of success that they are capable of doing.
Williams with a handoff to Proctor, right in his range. It's short.
Hunter only a sophomore, but he looked like the old man at the YMCA. Watch how savvy this is. Bump, let him go by off 1 foot, lean it back, smelling like Ben Gay. Do your thing, Hunter. And then McEwen going strong to the hole. I like the back and forth action here to start the second half.
Hunter, one of the more prolific scorers of the high school ranks in the state of Indiana. Hasn't really had the opportunity to put it through the hoop. Maybe this year is his year. McEwen, again, the hot hand. You're shaking your head.
I didn't like that shot. I think his percentage goes down when he shoots off the bounce. When McEwen can catch and shoot, he's much higher percentage shooter. Whereas Marcus Howard, I think, shoots better off the bounce than he does off the catch and shoot.
What once was an 18-point advantage, now 4 for Purdue. Hunter against Howard. To Stefanovic. Pops out. Another look here for the Boilermakers. Offensive rebounding has been key in this game here for Purdue. Here's Proctor. When the shot clock resets to 20. New rule this year for college basketball. Proctor in the lane. Pump fake. What a move. Couldn't put it away, but he'll get a couple at the free throw line coming up. A 4-point advantage for Purdue, trying to stave off this charge by the home team. Marquette has made this a game again. Let's go inside the huddle to see exactly how.
It's a 2-possession game. Look, you guys have done a great job to get to this point. Now we gotta close it. We gotta close the gap even more. Okay? Look, it's gonna come down to 50-50 balls. First 2 50-50 balls. One earlier in that one, we gotta come up with those plays.
No X's and O's there, just 50-50 balls. This is about effort. And I like how he applauded his team as we look at the numbers here in the first and second half stat comparisons. 6 of 12 from the field by Marquette. Not selling for too many threes, but getting in the paint. But I like when coaches, they understand how hard it is to cut into a lead like that. So you praise your team, and that gives them a boost of energy because they still have yet another hill to climb. So nice job by Coach Wojciechowski in getting his really firing his team up.
Again, coming back from an 18-point lead that Purdue had held in the first half. Now 9 points for Proctor after those free throws. Gotta wonder if in that Purdue huddle, Matt Painter was talking about exactly what you were talking about, and that they knew Marquette was going to have a little bit of a run in there. They got to sustain that. We still with the advantage, but here comes Marcus Howard.
Well, he is so good, and he runs so fast. I want our viewers to watch, if you can, off ball next time. Watch how fast he comes off of these screens. That's what allows him to create the space.
Painter was the first to compare Marcus Howard with Carson Edwards in the way and the pace and the way he comes off screens in his whole career. Here's Proctor with Howard guarding.
he comes into your picture right there. And the footwork to catch, square, and elevate does as well as anybody in college basketball. And I think he can do it at the next level as well.
I was just going to say, he's 5'11", 180. He decided to come back instead of putting his name in the NBA draft last year. Some people are wondering, with his size, can he excel at the next level? Oh, they bailed him out on that attempt. He was going to pass it off. Eric Hunter whistled for getting his arm.
Well, you know, a lot of times when you look at players and you try to project them to the next level, who is Marcus Howard like? And I thought at first Eddie House, tremendous scorer from Arizona State, had a long, successful career. But the more I look at him, I think Patty Mills, the great St. Mary's guard that has been with San Antonio for years and been able to stretch defenses with his ability to shoot the basketball and also play some point guard.
In the corner, kicks it out to Elliott. What a good start to this second half. Elliott will shoot is short. Gets it right back. McEwen from up top. About a third opportunity on this possession for Marquette. McEwen will slow it up.
It's almost like we flipped halves, where Purdue is dominant on the offensive glass, where Marquette is doing that to them here in the second.
Elliott from the wing. Steve Wojciechowski has said wait until Greg Elliott gets his conditioning back. Wait until he gets his feet from underneath him. He mentioned a couple of injuries that he's had to deal with last year and this year.
He's a tough kid now. Detroit, Michigan native. He's battled some injuries. So Steve Wojciechowski has a ton of confidence in this young man.
3 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in 21 minutes here so far tonight.
Looks like we're having possibly a clock issue here. So teams will be able to go to the bench and get kind of a de facto timeout here.
Marcus Howard, we talked about being Marquette's all-time leading scorer. He is not done. He is climbing the ranks of the Big East all-time scoring list as well. And just tonight, past the likes of Alonzo Mourning, chasing Boston College's Troy Bell, 2,632 points in his career.
I'd say there's some great names on that list. And I knew Troy Bell was a player. I would have never thought he was an all-time leading scorer in Big East.
It's a great trivia question because I'm not sure many people would get that right. Because you think about, I mean, you know, Ray Allen, for example,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, I would probably guess them as a top 5.
Yes. Maybe Allen Iverson, although he left early. So guys that are on that list, that are high on that list, are typically 4-year guys.
Yeah. But 40 years of the Big East. And you think you look at that, he could be the all-time leading scorer in conference history by the time this year is done. We'll have to see. 3-point advantage right now here for Purdue. Anna.
Tell you what, boy, Sakar Anna, he brings a level of toughness to this team. This is a guy that just had his bell rung earlier at the end of the first half, and no hesitation whatsoever to lay out.
Hand off to Proctor. They leave him alone for 3. Can't make him pay. Proctor, 1 of 4 shooting from back there. He hit his first 3-point shot. Has been 0 for since.
Nice defense there by Stefanovic getting over the screen.
7 to shoot. McEwen. Thinking about taking it himself. Here's Kane for 3. A couple of empty possessions for both these teams.
Boy, Theo John caught Matt Harms with an inadvertent elbow to the back of the head.
It's been physical.
Yes, it has.
Now it's a short shot clock this time for Purdue. 7 to shoot. Hunter, crossover.
Hunter's got a little knuckleball action on that shot. A little unusual.
Last 3 possessions for these teams, 3-point attempts. With Marcus Howard out of the game right now for Marquette. McEwen lets it float and foul. 1-point advantage here for Purdue. Here comes this crowd. Harms gets absolutely swarmed on the inside. Second half has been Marquette's half.
And Kobe McEwen doesn't want to leave Marcus Howard alone on the offensive end. He is really pressing the action.
One-point game as we go inside the huddle for Purdue. Matt Painter trying to hit the reset button.
Rebounding, we're down. We're down 5 or 6 this half. That's the difference. They keep getting second chance opportunities. We got to rebound the ball better. We're getting good looks here, guys. Good pass, Dochell. Great pass to him. We're getting good opportunities. Keep the ball moving.
Kind of interesting, isn't it? We went into the huddle for Marquette, and Wojciechowski said it's 50-50 balls. We come into the Purdue huddle, he's like, it's rebounding. The same thing. It's an effort basketball game. Both teams are trying to execute very well, but it just comes down to effort.
38 points in the first half and just 9 so far in the second half for Matt Painter and Purdue. They are 0 for 5 from 3. We talk about rebounding. It is a 14-7 advantage this half towards Marquette's way.
You know what I think is happening here, Lisa? We have to remember, again, this is the first week and a half of college basketball. These guys are not used to playing this hard and this physical yet. It takes a while, even the veterans. It takes you a while for your body to become adjusted.
Remember when we said free throws was going to come back to haunt Purdue? 6 of 15. They've missed 10 tonight.
Can't beat good teams when you give that many opportunities away.
Marquette with a chance to take the lead. McEwen. Now 10 on the shot clock. Kane, hesitation, pulls up, can't get it.
That was a great decision. That's Jamal Kane's shot. Going along the baseline instead of taking the 3. Even though he didn't convert, I like that opportunity.
Questions for Purdue. 7 minutes remaining. Can they close out in the stretch? They weren't able to do it last Saturday against Texas. Harms with a deep position and goes right at John. He's got 12.
Don't be mistaken by Matt Harms' slender build. He put Theo John underneath the basket. That was impressive. You don't typically see Theo John get buried like that.
Been a while since we called out Matt Harms' name. Scoring-wise in the second half. He had 8 in the first half. McEwen fires. Hits! Tie game! The answer, Shahad Proctor with his second 3 of the game.
Now we're seeing some high-level offense. Purdue choosing to go through Matt Harms, and Matt Harms is not a selfish guy. Made the right decision there, and Proctor got a wide-open look.
Splitting the difference, it's Howard. Gets blocked from behind by Wheeler. Now remember, Wheeler's playing with 4 fouls. 5.5 to go. John, spin move, jump hook.
A high high-level basketball in November. I can't continue to say that more. Nice jab step to create the space. McEwen leaving the follow-through up, and then Matt Harms drawing a double team. Proctor gets an open practice jumper, meaning feet set, facing the bucket, gets a squared-up pass. That's nice execution by both teams.
Harms goes to the free throw line after Jamal Cain picked up his 4th personal for Marquette. Pops out. 11 missed free throws. For 3. Tied again.
Oh, Proctor missed Harms in the paint.
Turnover for Purdue as John pounces on. Another opportunity for the Golden Eagles to take the lead. This place will erupt if they do. Here's Annam on the runner. First lead of the game for Marquette. Golden Eagles have come all the way back. Down from 18, and what a second half they have had. Up by 2. Marquette trailed by as many as 18 in the game, as many as 13 at the half. What's been different in the second?
The confidence of the supporting cast of Marcus Howard has been impressive. McEwen has really been looking for his shot, and it's starting to become contagious. You saw Howard there at the beginning of the second half get that nice hesitation and then score. And this young man here that got his noggin hit at the end of the first half, he has come back. He and his teammates, very impressive with their confidence on the offensive end.
You see McEwen's numbers first half to second half. Steve Wojciechowski told us at shoot-around when we asked him who's got to be the second scorer for Marcus Howard. Does it have to be Kobe? And he immediately said yes. It was a really quick yes to that answer.
Yes, it was. And you can tell, he's got experience and confidence. He's strong. He's been able to find his own shot.
So coming out of this timeout, here's Purdue's chance to tie or take the lead. Baseline take for Wheeler. He got an offensive foul call on the screen.
Well, Wheeler's arm got a little bit high right there.
The hook, and that's number 5 on Wheeler.
Remember what I said, Lisa? At the college level, when you start out in foul trouble, it's awfully difficult to overcome early foul trouble, to find your rhythm. Wheeler was kind of off balance all night long.
McEwen being guarded by Eastern. Eastern's done a good job not picking up any fouls in this second half. Still playing with the 3. Annam turnaround. Harms with the rebound.
Now this is interesting. I like the fact that Sakar, Annam, and McEwen are aggressive, but you cannot not look for Marcus Howard in the half-court situation. You still got to try to free him up.
Marquette has done this with just 6 points from Howard in this second half. He's only shot it 3 times. Now 7 to shoot here for Purdue. Hunter, 4 to shoot. Eastern has to pull and fire.
Purdue having similar difficulties here in the second half as they did in their last game in their home loss to Texas. Some inopportune turnovers, struggling to get the ball where it needs to go in the half-court set.
And who's going to be their go-to scorer? No Carson Edwards here this year. In crunch time, in a close game, they got to find one. Eastern, that's number 4. on Milwaukee. 2-point game between Purdue and Marquette.
Dave Gavitt was a legend in college basketball. Obviously, a legend in Big East lore, starting the league and making the league a national brand. We feel so honored to play in the Gavitt games each year to honor his legacy and the legacy in the Big East.
In November, it has been Big East against Big Ten since the year 2015, and talk about how evenly played this series has been between the two conferences. The only conference winning it was last year with the Big Ten, but right now, this year, we're still tied at 2-2.
Yeah, and it's going to go down to the wire once again, and two evenly matched conferences and great basketball here to start the 2019-2020 season.
I love these conference challenges. It gives meaningful basketball in the month of November. And really for Matt Painter and Steve Wojciechowski, they both told us the same thing. It's a good measuring stick for us. 2 games in, 3 games into the season.
Yeah, and there's no negative to it because you're playing quality opponents, so you're not going to get hurt in terms of, you know, in March when people start doing all the math.
It's not like college football.
Great point. Great point.
Big miss out of that timeout for McEwen. Has 3 coming. And he was fouled on the 3-point shot by Nojel Eastern, who has picked up his 4th. He's 2 of 3. Marquette on a 7-0 run.
So right now, Purdue's got to get the ball into Matt Harms. Jahad Proctor missed him a couple possessions ago, but they're trying to go right back to, they're not giving him enough time.
Proctor instead taking it baseline against McEwen, can't get it. It'll stay Purdue basketball.
Proctor has got to give Harms a little bit of time to establish himself on the post. He's not, he kind of looked in, but he looked away quickly. That's the second time.
Proctor from up top.
I'm not sure if they recognize the shot clock running down.
Well, it's at 4 right now. They do feed Harms. Faces John. This is everything. Shot clock violation. It's falling apart for Matt Painter and Purdue.
And a lot of it has to do with Marquette and their aggressiveness on the defensive end. This has been impressive here in the second half. Coach Wojciechowski kept telling his guys this is a street fight. And they have risen to the challenge.
And a foul on Stefanovic. That's number 3. The 8th team foul. There'll be free throws coming.
See, this is where Marquette is really going to be dangerous throughout the year. If they have a lead coming down the stretch and you can put the ball in the hands of Marcus Howard, it's really not a whole lot you can do in that scenario. He's so good at, 1, getting his own shot off, but 2, drawing other defenders to free up opportunities for his teammates.
A career 90% free throw shooter. And 7 of those 15 points coming in the second half. Double team coming for Harms. Kicks it out to Proctor. Can't hit the 3 Purdue needed.
I say that's good execution, Lisa. Proctor just didn't hit the shot, but they got a good look.
Step back for Howard. Big bucket, big stage. Stefanovic trying to answer. Purdue has gone cold. Last field goal for Purdue coming at 6:04.
Marcus Howard gets inside the three-point line. Step back. Another McCotton, the best closer in college basketball. And he got a lot of help to get to this point, Lisa, and that's what's going to make Marquette a very difficult team to contend with in the Big East.
He's got 10 now in the second half, but there was a while there where he had only shot 3 times and had 6 points in the second half. That's because Kobe McEwen has gotten it done.
And when he got that layup to go, I think his confidence really soared after that move. Nice hesitation there to let the defense kind of slide away from him. And good concentration, and then you knew he was feeling it here. Jab step to lose Proctor, face up, and hold that follow-through.
A much different second half than it is the first, really, frankly, for both of these teams. Marquette has nearly matched the 38 points Purdue got in the first half in the second half.
And the difference between last year and this year's Marquette team, in my eyes, the supporting cast of Marcus Howard, much more confident to step up and take big shots and big opportunities.
We have mentioned time and time again the fact that both of these teams are trying to figure themselves out. And I mentioned in the absence of Carson Edwards, that was the biggest question going into Purdue's season. What would this team, what would this offense look like? And in particular, down the stretch.
Yeah, and it's interesting because where do you go? You're going to work. They try to work through Matt Harms. Matt Harms has made the right decision most of the time, but his teammates haven't been able to convert. No, Joe Easton hasn't really been involved offensively because he got in foul trouble early, so he was walking on eggshells. Hunter has been good in spurts, but not consistent.
Well, 2 of their starters really have been taken out of the game. Aaron Wheeler has fouled out. You mentioned the fact that Eastern has been saddled with fouls really the whole game. Very limited in what he's able to do as the double team and the full pressure now coming for Purdue, and it works. Forces a Marquette turnover as Theo John absolutely leaped over the courtside front row.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 6'10" man going over 2 rows of seats. Look at this. It looks like one. There are 2 rows of fat cushion seats, like the expensive seats.
I was going to say, fat cushion with a fat ticket. You got to have a swivel on your head, though, if you're sitting there. Here's Proctor inside the lane and draws the foul there on McEwen.
That's the best case scenario right there for Purdue, with the ability to score without time going off the clock. A rare mistake defensively by Marquette, allowing Proctor to get behind his defender.
Well, it stops the clock, which is pro Purdue here right now, trailing by 8, but the free throw line has not been pro Purdue tonight. Proctor knocks down the first. 6 of 18 shooting for Purdue from the charity stripe. 7 of 18 shooting.
And those players are from Purdue. They know that they've dug themselves a hole from the free throw line and lack of converting there.
Splits the pair. Marquette sitting in the bonus. Purdue with the 1 timeout, and Proctor is forced to foul. Stops it at 50.9. That's the 3rd on Proctor.
So Purdue trying to extend the game a little bit, trying to go with percentages, trying to keep they'll totally deny Marcus Howard the basketball, and then try to foul Sakar Annam. But the way Sakar Annam stepped up and hit that 3, I think he's got a lot of confidence in this situation.
And this is long. Trying to get the quick bucket. Tip follow. Won't go for Harms, but again, stops the clock at 44.3.
So Hunter going full speed and gets downhill. Isn't able to convert, but Matt Harms does an excellent job of following up. Just can't get the putback to go. It's rare when your center appears to be the most confident person at the free throw line down the stretch.
Well, that's his first free throw make. It was 0 for 4 before that make. Still plenty of time, 5-point game. They were looking for Howard and a 5-second call on Marquette. Adam couldn't get away with it.
Adam started slowly. DJ Carsonson started the count. And Sakar Adam was looking for his teammates to move. That was a legitimate 5-second violation there. See how Sakar Adam looks at DJ Carsonson and gets started late.
From the baseline, Stefanovic can't get it. And they immediately foul McEwen.
What you don't notice in that situation is Theo John did an excellent job boxing out Matt Harms for the offensive rebound attempt. Marquette has been physical and disciplined here in the second half. I mean, Purdue beat them up on the glass in the first half. I mean, got offensive rebound after 12, I believe, in the first half for Purdue, but, boy, they have limited those opportunities here in the second.
That was a 12-4 advantage there in the first half. McEwen, by the way, this season a 71% free throw shooter.
McEwen is going to be a fan favorite this year. This young man has stepped up big time tonight.
Time ticking down. Stefanovic can't get the roll. They're going to send McEwen back to the free throw line. I think this one is good. We think we have a pretty good Thursday night football game coming up tomorrow as well. We've got one of the great rivalries. The Steelers take on Baker Mayfield and the Browns. It all starts at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox, NFL Network, and of course streaming on Prime Video. A couple of franchises just separated by 130 miles.
That was my team growing up, the Steelers.
Was it really?
Yeah, so I dislike the Browns. I have a healthy dislike for the Cleveland Browns.
So you'll be tuning in tomorrow?
Yes, yes.
McEwen makes good on the second. 23 points for McEwen. 18 of the 23 coming in the second half. Hunter, nowhere to go. Up top. Marquette is 9 seconds away from walking away with a win.
This is one of the more impressive defensive efforts that I think you're going to see in a while here in November. I mean, Purdue was hitting on all cylinders in the first half, got everything that they wanted to get, got on the offensive glass, dominated the paint, but Marquette shut it all down defensively in the second half.
Purdue's last field goal, again, coming with 6 minutes left in the game. They had missed their last 9 shots.
You can win a lot of games like that at a high level. You've got a closer on offense. You've got great depth. You've got guys that stepped up and allowed Marcus Howard to come down the stretch and close.
Howard with 18, McEwen with the 23. Hunter, one last 3 attempt. 6 of 24 for the game for Purdue. Down by 18, what a comeback. Steve Wojciechowski and Marquette with the first win in this series against Purdue. This team swarming. Kobe McEwen, the transfer from Utah State. One of the new faces who needed to have a big game, and he responded with a big game. A 10-point win here for Marquette, and a pretty impressive second half. We hope you enjoyed our coverage here tonight of the Gavitt games. For Stephen Bardo, I'm Lisa Byington. Back and forth we went. Marquette coming out on top in Milwaukee.